Yo, what's up, my brother? I want to share with you 8 signs that you are subconsciously seeking her validation. One thing that you need to know about seeking her approval is that whenever you do that with a woman, when you just met her or when you have a date or when you're in the bedroom together, you're basically putting yourself in a lower position because you care more about her liking you than she cares about you liking her, right? So, of course, she will lose attraction. Of course, she will lose respect. Of course, she will not want to see you again because you care too much about the outcome here. She's just trying to enjoy your presence, but you're not enjoying her presence. You're caring about the outcome. You're caring about her approval. You want her to like you so bad. And that's basically a massive turn off for a woman. So that's very important to understand. Now let's come to the first sign, which is feeling anxious when you text her. So let's say you grab a number of a really beautiful woman and you want to invite her on a date, of course. In between grabbing her number and the date, there are a lot of things that can happen. And I'm sure you know that because maybe you've experienced some flakes in the past, or you've experienced women texting less and less and less and less and then flaking you. Or, maybe you experienced a flake last minute, right? You texted so well, your texting game was on point, and then paf, she just texts you like, hey, I'm really sorry, can we reschedule? I cannot do it today, I feel so tired, blah, blah, blah. It's super frustrating to receive that, and because it happened in the past, you might have a bit of a fear now whenever you grab a number. This is exactly what happened to my client before joining my program. He was feeling a lot of anxiety whenever a woman was not texting as frequently as he wanted her to be, like texting, yeah? And basically, even though he was really good at texting, he learned the technical game of texting. He even, like, to be quite honest, he was more, like, much better at texting than I am. But he was feeling anxious texting a woman. So, of course, he experienced a lot of flakes because of that. And also, it's not enjoyable to feel anxiety when texting a woman. So, instead of grabbing so many numbers, having so much options, because a lot of men tend to do this, which is obviously not working because you're trying to put a bandage on the wound that is not healed yet. So, you can have as many options as you want. It's not going to work. Or maybe it's going to work a little bit, of course, but as soon as you care too much about a woman, the anxiety will kick in again. It will happen, right? Because you can mask this anxiety with so many options, but then there is one woman that is going to stand out and, you're going to feel the anxiety again and you're going to self-sabotage, right? And it's going to make you feel like shit. I know this because I've done it like so many times and it was pissing me off like crazy. Yeah. So in that case, you don't want to do that. It's a trap. What you want to do is you want to focus on the actual anxiety that is happening in your body, usually in the stomach or maybe on the chest. And you want to do the internal work to actually find out what is the root cause of this anxiety. And then you want to integrate this emotion so that it doesn't show up every time you text a woman. And then you're free. Then you're confident. And funny enough, just a few days ago, as I'm shooting this video, my client literally texted me. He said, I don't remember exactly what he said, but something along the lines like, I was texting with a woman, she was not responding so frequently, and I'm so relaxed, I'm chill, all good. And then they ended up having a date. This is really what I'm talking about. You don't need tons of options. You can just solve this internally and then you don't have to deal with it anymore. That's it. All good. Second sign is that you constantly check for her reaction. So you can be on a date with a woman and every time you say something, you always pay attention to what she says to you back, how she reacts to her body language, and then you change your behaviors. You change your actions. You change what you say, because of the way she reacts to you, especially if she doesn't react to you really well. Because if she reacts to you really well, you're going to feel so happy. So, yeah, she likes me, yeah. Because that's the whole point of validation, right? But then, as soon as she reacts negatively, what ends up happening is that you start changing your behavior, you freak out maybe a little bit, start feeling a little bit of anxiety, and, she can see what's happening. Even though maybe you hide all of this internally, right? You don't show her how you feel internally. She can feel it. Yeah. It's called the law of state transference. Whatever you feel, she feels. So you can hide as much as you want, my brother, but she feels what you feel. She can see right through you. She's a woman. She has this sixth sense. Remember that. So don't fake it. Third sign is that you laugh when it's not funny. This was me, like, it was such a bad habit that I had when I was starting to meet women during the day and in the night as well. Every time I would approach a woman, I would laugh uncontrollably. I would be like, "Hi, my name is Sasha," and I would start laughing. And I didn't recognize this pattern until someone told me, "Dude, can't you see that you're laughing for no reason? It's not even funny what she's saying, and you're laughing like this." And then I started to look back, like take a step back, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man, like I'm actually a dancing monkey, like with women. And of course that they cannot take me seriously like this. Now it's funny because some women can also act like this when they feel pressure, tension, a bit of anxiety as well. So this is a sign, of course, that you seek her validation, but women can also seek validation, not just men. So this is a very common sign for men and women to actually seek validation. What you want to do regarding this is to first recognize, like, oh shit, I am laughing for no reason. This is not funny what she said or what I said. Why am I laughing? If I would talk to my parents exactly the same, I wouldn't laugh. So why, when I'm in front of her, I'm laughing? Makes no sense, right? So first you recognize that, and then try to bring a little bit more consciousness in your conversational skills, meaning that catch yourself when you want to laugh and don't laugh, right? Now that's going to be hard, but that's really an exercise you can implement. Like whenever you feel the need to laugh, you don't laugh, because you're coming from a place of insecurity, seeking her validation, maybe a bit of fear, right? So try it out. Another way you can deal with this is the same as the feeling anxious when texting her. You have to deal with the tension that is in your body when you in front of her, right? Because of course, when you laugh, you're avoiding the tension that is in your body, and you have to process that. It's important. Fourth sign is that you're overly complimenting her. This is for the guys that have a little bit of problems with expressing the sexual intent that you might have. Let me tell you this. Complimenting her doesn't necessarily mean that you will express your sexual intent, right? She can take it as like, oh, wow, he's so nice, thank you, and then just, brush it off like it's nothing. So don't put so much emphasis on complimenting her, because it doesn't have to necessarily mean that you express your sexual intent, right? You have so many different ways to express your sexual intent, and complimenting her is really like a really basic one, right? So be really careful and become aware of how much you compliment her. Are you complimenting her because you genuinely feel like giving her a compliment? Or are you complimenting her because you don't want to end up in the friend zone, right? So you try so hard to show her your sexual interest, right? And it's not going to work, and it probably hasn't worked because you're watching this right now, right? So be super careful with that. Don't fall into this trap, because like a lot of men fall into this trap. Fifth sign is being excessively agreeable. I've made an entire video on this actually, so I don't want to go too much into the details of that, but be very careful also to not fall into the trap of being excessively disagreeable, because that's fake too. Being agreeable is fake. You're seeking her validation. Being disagreeable, if you do it too much, because you're doing it as a technique to get her, to attract her, is also another form of seeking her validation. If you want to be disagreeable, you have to come from your authentic self. So that means that you can agree with her. Of course, it's logical. You can disagree with her, you can agree with her, but it has to come from your authentic self, right? So be very careful to not fall into like, okay, now I'm going to be disagreeable because I heard Sasha saying this in the video talking about this, the 8 ways of subconsciously seeking her validation. It's none of that, please. None of that, okay? Sixth sign that you seek her validation is seeking her reassurance, right? So let's say you give her a compliment, right? And then because you want her to invest on you, right? You feel a little bit in a hurry, maybe you feel a little bit insecure. You want her to like you, of course. You ask her then, oh, what do you think of my style? Or if you would rate me from 1 to 10, what would be the number? You know, whenever you seek her reassurance, what you do is you seek her validation because you see yourself as inferior as her, and this naturally kills the attraction. Naturally. So stop doing that. First, catch yourself doing that, and then deal with the part of you, the voice that is telling you to do that, right? So for this, you need part work. This is something that I teach in my mentoring program. The reason why I don't talk too much about the whole part work process is because it cannot really be taught in a video. It has to be done in a mentoring setting, right? So I know I keep on talking about internal work, and I do have actually a free course that can help you attract 1 date a week, and in there is a whole module on doing a specific technique for internal work. So you can get that for free. You have the link in the description. But when it comes down to dealing with this feeling of like, I want her reassurance because I don't feel good enough inside of myself, you have to deal with the feeling of I'm not good enough, I'm not confident, I don't feel attractive. And there's a whole process that can really help you like integrate that so that you don't have to actually feel this. Yeah. Seventh sign is that you show off how cool you are. I'm sure that you know a lot of men doing this. It is not working. Women do not take you seriously when you try to show off like so much. I mean, some women like it, but these women are probably insecure, coming from a shadow, maybe seeking your validation as well. They will just care about your money and your status. They will not care about you, right? So stop trying to show off how cool you are. You don't need to do that. Seriously. What is so goddamn attractive for a woman is when you can truly be yourself without the fears, without the insecurities, without the, oh, this coach told me to do this, so I need to do this, without using the pickup line, without using the routine, with none of that bullshit. If you can just show up in front of a woman, just so relaxed, feeling confident in your ability to attract her, knowing that you are good enough, like really like, I am worthy of her, you will see. It's truly magical. You don't need to show off like, oh, look, I have a Lambo. Look, I make so much money. Look, I have this status, blah. Like, bro, you don't need that. This whole black pill thing is becoming more and more popular, which is quite disturbing for me. Because 8 years ago, it wasn't like this when I was just starting to meet women. But it looks like right now it's the new trend, right? Like you need to make a lot of money, you need to have the Lambo, and then you will have a cool girlfriend. What the fuck? Who the fuck is buying this shit? Seriously. And it's becoming more and more trendy. It's so insane. The last sign, this is for the guys that are in the pickup community. So if you've never heard of the pickup community, you will not understand what I'm saying. There's a lot of men that are within the pickup community that end up having frame control paranoia. The whole concept of frame control is an interesting one because it does describe a reality in conversation happening in our day-to-day life. Every time there is a conversation, someone is holding the frame and someone is responding to the frame, right? Now, you can fall into the trap of constantly thinking about, do I have the frame now? Do I have the power in the conversation? And then you end up shooting yourself in the foot because you are basically aware of a really powerful concept, but this concept now has power over you because you still seek her validation. So you constantly want to have the frame, which is just insane. Like, imagine you're still in this frame control paranoia, and then you end up having a relationship. And then throughout the whole relationship, you try to keep the frame at all cost. It's completely wild to do this and not sustainable. I mean, at one point, you're just going to burst and explode completely. So this, you need to deal with the root issue that is kind of like leading you to have this paranoia of like constantly having the frame in a conversation, because probably you're scared to lose the power, right? Because maybe for you, losing the power means that you're going to be lonely, maybe you're not going to feel good enough, you're not going to be confident anymore. And yeah, you're trying to run away from that by constantly having the frame. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. I really love doing these whiteboard videos. Let me know if you enjoyed that too, because I'm planning to do more and more. But I'm curious about your feedback. Do you enjoy it? Do you want other forms of videos? And if you're really interested in this free course that I was sharing with you a bit before in the video, you can check it out in the description. There's a link. It's really the entire framework to help you attract at least one date a week with your ideal woman, right? And I share with you some internal work techniques, some different concepts that you can use in your dating life to become more confident, magnetic, and actually attract a good woman in your life. Thank you. I see you.